Greetings, guys. Shalom, shalom, dumelangsan, banani, jambo, and lo. This is your bro, Amiel Kemheberua Azania, welcoming you to Edenic Truth Institute. And today we embark on a fascinating exploration titled Artificial Intelligence versus Natural Intelligence. So, if there is artificial intelligence, then there must be natural intelligence, right? So, why is it that there is so much emphasis on artificial intelligence and we hardly ever hear anything about natural intelligence? Anyway, join us on this journey today as we explore the age of artificial intelligence in light of the original Hebrew Genesis narrative. So, what is the connection? Now, one may say that Genesis speaks to events that occurred thousands of years ago. And some people even view these narratives as just myths with no actual bearing in our actual reality, you know. So again, what is the connection? Well, I think where the Hebrew Bible comes into play. Now, the reason we tend to view some of the aspect or these texts, and specifically here talking to the Genesis narrative, the reason most of the time we view them as events that occurred in the far ancient past, no bearing on our modern reality, is that we have generally assumed a Western view interpretation of the biblical text. So now we must understand that, for example, the Western view of time that we have adopted is a linear view of time. That is why there is talk of a timeline. So time is viewed in a linear fashion where it begins at a certain point and then it moves or advances in a linear fashion towards, let's say, the modern time. However, Moses and the authors of the Bible had a completely different conception of time. They viewed time in a cyclical manner. Hence, they would more accurately talk about cycles of time as opposed to a timeline. Hence, time is viewed as or within or as these repetitive rhythms of certain events of time, etc. So that is how they would have viewed the reality, meaning that these texts were not necessarily viewed or written for a past ancient time, space, era, and reality, but rather with the view that some of these aspects would become part of reality in certain reoccurring cycles and rhythms of time. So that is the worldview that we will be adopting as we proceed in terms of the presentation. And that is what the original African Hebraic or Hebraic perspective of time would have been. And that is what we are going to be applying in terms of this presentation. We will be exploring the genesis or artificial intelligence from the perspective of the Genesis narrative, from the original Hebraic perspective. So let us get right into it. So, in the age of artificial intelligence, our world is undoubtedly moving towards an age wherein humans, or rather, it has moved towards an age wherein we exist alongside robots. AI is often dubbed the fourth industrial revolution, and it is certainly shaping our future. But we must question the ultimate goal and the potential consequences of artificial intelligence to humanity and to life in general. So, there does exist varying views on the overall impact of artificial intelligence, with some people being proponents of artificial intelligence and pointing out all of the benefits that will come out of artificial intelligence. While on the other side, there are those who are pointing out the negatives of artificial intelligence, basically telling us the dangers, the downsides, and the problems that may arise due to artificial intelligence. Therefore, could we witness the emergence of beings like androids, cyborgs, and robots that exist or perhaps even threaten the our existence on this planet? What does that ultimately mean? So I would like us to look into one of those individuals who has been rather outspoken as it relates to artificial intelligence, and that person is Elon Musk. So again, as already stated, there are so many individuals out there who are telling us the evils, the bad, the negatives of artificial intelligence. And you also have people who are telling us the benefits, the upside of artificial intelligence. Elon Musk is one of those. So I would like us to just look at a short clip of an interview that Elon Musk made where he speaks about artificial intelligence. So perhaps let's look at that and then I will make a comment thereafter.
With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Didn't work out.
I take it there will be no HAL 9000 going up to Mars.
HAL 9000 would be easy. It's way more complex than, it would put HAL 9000 to shame. Yeah.
Okay, so as we can see, that is a video from Elon Musk where he really goes into the dangers of artificial intelligence. In fact, the words he uses is that it is like summoning the demon. Can you just imagine that? What does that mean? I think we need to also remember who Elon Musk is in the greater scheme of things, in terms of world events, in terms of artificial intelligence technology itself. We are talking about someone who is at the forefront. He's actually done great wonders in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of technology. We know Tesla cars, we know SpaceX, etc. These are literally some of the foremost, the leading technology companies in the world. So this is someone who knows and who understands what he is saying. Therefore, we really need to take it to heart and really understand what exactly he means. This is someone who really understands artificial intelligence at levels far greater than many of us actually do. But one thing that I would like to highlight in this video is his seemingly contradictory stance on artificial intelligence, which for me raises some critical questions. Because again, on one hand, he is warning us that artificial intelligence is like summoning the demon. Can you imagine that? Summoning the demon, literally summoning the devil. Basically, that's what he says. And again, remember, guys, this is someone who really, really understands artificial intelligence at the highest level. And he is warning us that we are summoning the demon. What does that mean in terms of our existence, in terms of our survival? He says that the greatest existential threat to humanity at this time is artificial intelligence. That's what he says on the one side. But then on the other side, then he is among the leading proponents of artificial intelligence. We know that he is at the forefront of certain technological advancements, AI technological advancements, through the development of ChatGPT, for example. He was heavily involved in that. And then we also have Neuralink, for example, which is basically a chip that is said to be implanted. I believe it has already been implanted in some people's brains. And again, that is basically to make a direct link between artificial intelligence and the human mind. So that is the individual that we are talking about here. Again, we see the ambivalence from Elon Musk. On one side, he uses words like summoning the demon. And then on the other hand, he is at the forefront of artificial intelligence. So let's look at some of the other statements that Elon Musk makes as it relates to artificial intelligence, because it can be very confusing as to where exactly he stands. where does he stand? I mean, as ETI, we take a stand on artificial intelligence to say that anything that stands to threaten our existence should not be pursued, naturally so, logically so. In other words, you would never find someone or a person who is affiliated with ETI making advancements like Neuralink, for example, in understanding that they do pose an existential threat to humanity. So, why pursue such technology? Do we need such technology? Can we exist without such technology? Have we, as the human race, existed for thousands of years happily so, made advancements, progress, etc., developed certain forms of technology, and flourished without artificial intelligence? Therefore, then why do we need artificial intelligence? That is the question. But anyway, let us move ahead and then look at some of the comments that he makes, the ambivalence. And that is actually what I wanted to connect to the Genesis narrative. Because we see here that it's almost like a forked tongue. A forked tongue. Now, when we connect that to the serpent of the Garden of Eden narrative, a serpent is known for speaking with a forked tongue. So let us look further into this notion. Let us get deeper into it, and then we will make further commentary on that. So, ladies and gents, let's just go into the parallels in terms of the Genesis narrative, which in Hebrew is called the Breshit. So, we go into the Genesis narrative and try and draw the parallels between artificial intelligence and the Genesis narrative, because I'm sure some of you may be wondering, what do I mean between, or what is this whole video about? Why am I connecting Elon Musk to the serpent? Yes. Okay, let's get into it. So, guys, again, we have to then approach this narrative from the original Hebraic perspective. And from the original Hebraic perspective, when it talks about a tree, it is not necessarily talking about a physical tree only, as in a fruit tree. In Hebrew thought, it can mean institutions. And such institutions can even mean a person or people, or it can mean a building, etc. So that is what we must think about as it speaks about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It is talking about institutions. In other words, we can then say that the institution of the knowledge of good and evil. Therefore, who is the serpent in the Garden of Eden narrative? Now, we understand that the serpent can be what we could refer to as a spokesperson. So then we then go into the serpent of the Garden of Eden. So we know that Eve and Adam, or Eve in this case, that she was engaging with a serpent. That's how it's generally been depicted for us. And for many people, they think that this is a literal talking snake. However, if we go then back into understanding that by a tree, it is talking about institutions and not literal tree, then we understand that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we can say that it is the institutions of the knowledge of good and evil. Therefore, the snake, the serpent in the Garden of Eden, then we can understand that it is actually talking about a character of a person. So the serpent is talking about the character. And we know that the serpent, for example, is known for what we may call a forked tongue. So this is a person who might say something else and do something else, or who might say something else while they mean something else. So this is a person who speaks with a forked tongue. So then we understand that the institutions that are being referred to here in the Garden of Eden narrative, that this was someone, these were individuals, these were institutions that were conveying or selling certain ideas to Adam and Eve, and that whatever ideas that they were selling to Adam and Eve, that they are told, because remember that Elohim warned Adam and Eve that if they were to engage in these institutions, if they were to engage these institutions or the representatives of these institutions, and these institutions, in other words, an institution again, and it's if we then understand, because it talks about a tree of knowledge. Again, how does tree give you knowledge? How does we talking about a literal tree here? So then as soon as we look at it in terms of an institution, then it makes sense. Because SpaceX, for example, Tesla, for example, Microsoft, for example, these are trees, these are institutions of knowledge. And that based on certain knowledge, then what does a tree do? A tree produces fruit, which is result, which is a produce, something tangible that comes out of those institutions. So then we look at what something tangible, what are those tangible things that came out of the institutions of SpaceX, for example, of Microsoft, for example. And in this case, we are talking about artificial intelligence. We are talking about Neuralink, for example. Neuralink being the company that Elon Musk, or whether it's the company, the institution, let's use the term institution, that Elon Musk is heading, that is at the forefront, or one of those companies or institutions that are at the forefront of the development of AI. So we see here that Elon Musk then becomes a representative of those institutions. And the reason I am referring to him as a serpent is exactly why I talked about earlier. Because on the one hand, he says that it is like summoning the demon. So the big question is, if artificial intelligence is summoning the demon, why is Elon Musk summoning the demon? That is an important question then that we have to ask. Because again, he is at the forefront. He is one of the leading proponents, not just proponents, but institutions. He's part of those institutions that are leading in terms of artificial intelligence, meaning he is actively involved in summoning the demon. Why is that? What kind of destruction is it? Again, we go back to Elon Musk. He then also accedes. He says that the greatest existential threat to human life today is artificial intelligence. Now we go back to the scriptures, to Elohim, because Elohim said the fruit, the fruit of the institutions of the knowledge of good and evil, that whatever the fruit are, that ye shall surely die. If we go too far, if we engage those institutions, if we allow ourselves to come under the reality, the influences of those institutions, we are warned that ye shall surely die. So why? Is it because that we would be summoning the demon? And what does it mean to be summoning the demon? Is the demon bringing peace? Are they bringing life? Are they bringing well-being? Or are they bringing about destruction of life on the planet? So we can see then the great parallels. And that's why we really have to take and understand these concepts. What we were being warned about, because we're not being warned about something that happened in the past. We are warned about realities, ongoing realities on this planet. Therefore, artificial intelligence, is it a fruit of good and evil? Again, we simply have to visit the words of people like Elon Musk, who on the one side, he tells us that, and we know, many of us have used ChatGPT. We've seen the benefits of some of these artificial intelligence, some of these products that are made from artificial intelligence. And I believe that artificial intelligence has helped in your technology, in terms of your drones, in terms of even going as far as helping in terms of diagnosing illnesses, etc. So we see the good in artificial intelligence. But on that other side, the evils of artificial intelligence is that we are told that essentially we may lose our lives, we may be wiped out from this planet because of artificial intelligence. And again, we go back to the warning by Elohim that says these institutions, that whatever the knowledge that will be produced, that will come out, or whatever fruit will come out of these institutions, artificial intelligent robots, for example, that they will cause death. They will cause death. So ultimately, are they worth us even pursuing? Do we really need to have artificial intelligence? Can we not live without artificial intelligence if it poses a threat to us and our well-being? Why pursue such a form of knowledge? So we must understand that these are the warnings that we were being given by the prophets through the scripture, through the Torah, to say that these advancements, because they are being sold to us by people like Elon Musk, and listen to some of the words that they use, because there's also a level of deception, of fear in that, because we are being told that unless we integrate with artificial intelligence, we may become like monkeys. In other words, as compared to those individuals who do integrate with artificial intelligence, the level of intelligence that they will gain as compared to those who do not integrate, that we will be like monkeys. So you understand there's that fear factor. And then there's also that level of selling artificial intelligence, because who would not want to be intelligent? So again, a parallel between the Genesis narrative, because we understand that when the serpent is communicating to Eve, to Adam and Eve, that he tells them that they will be as gods. Now, again, when you have this infinite intelligence that you are linked, your brain has been linked to this infinite form of intelligence, does it not make you as a god? Therefore, is it not a very similar marketing scheme? Again, ye shall be wise, because that's exactly what it's saying. Ye shall be wise as gods, knowing good and evil. Artificial intelligence is good and evil. So we see the parallels there. We see the parallels. So that is what this video was about. It was really about bringing the scripture so that it becomes relevant, so that we can understand and really understand the impact, the artificial intelligence, to really put it within, or really to really understand the spiritual, the spiritual element within artificial intelligence. And in the next video, I would like to go into artificial intelligence versus natural intelligence, because we understand that the Bereshit in the Genesis, there existed two forms, and just like today, there exists two forms of intelligence. That the knowledge, the tree, the institutions of the knowledge of good and evil, the fruit that has come out of that artificial intelligence, that represents a certain form of intelligence, wherein, or a certain knowledge, wherein that if applied, it would yield certain results, and those results would be death. Those results, those fruit would be death. And we don't need to, this is not some mythical idea out of some mythical book. These are things that Elon Musk himself has said. He has told us that it poses the greatest threat to our life. He said that it is like summoning the demon. The demon is not coming to bring us life for our well-being or for our good. So that is something that we must understand. So that artificial intelligence, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, So I will be looking into natural intelligence because the antithesis of artificial intelligence is natural intelligence. Is it that if artificial intelligence poses the greatest existential threat to us, why are we not moving over to natural intelligence? What is natural intelligence? So we'll be looking at that as well, but that is what I wanted us to look into today: artificial intelligence within the context of the scriptures and the warning that we were being given about these trees of the knowledge, these institutions of the knowledge of good and evil. And whatever would come out of those institutions, we are told that the results would be devastating to life and lives. So, that is it, brothers and sisters. I hope that you guys can draw some knowledge, some understanding, some insights, some spiritual insight in terms of understanding what we are being led towards as a people, as humanity on this planet. We cannot simply continue to move in this direction without putting certain strict or certain measures in place to protect life. Guys, nothing is more sacred than